Shotgun with Charlie.
Riding shotgun refers to the practice of sitting next to the driver in a moving vehicle. The term riding shotgun came around after the time of the stagecoach, when somebody used to sit next to the driver holding a shotgun, in case they ran into bandits. My name is Charlie Cook, and I drive a lot. I like to talk to people while I'm driving, so I interview people in my car while I'm driving. Welcome to Riding Shotgun with Charlie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Today I have with me Chris Doherty. Chris, thanks for being on the show, brother.
My pleasure.
Now,
good to be here.
Chris is an instructor here in Massachusetts. He's taught a lot of people, taught a lot of classes. You've been a model.
Yes.
You've been a model, uno momento. You've been a model in a couple concealed carry fashion shows, and you are the person that wears
kilt?
The tactical kilt, which you didn't wear today. And I said, bring it, but you said it smells bad, so that's all right.
Yeah, I wore it for a class up at SIG, so it is quite sweaty, and the class I wore it for, it was very, very, very rainy. So I forgot to take it out of my range bag.
Oh!
Currently, it's a smelly garment.
Right, it's like a science experiment, right?
Yes. It's in the wash alone. That's how bad it was.
You're gonna run it through twice.
Yeah, most likely.
cool.
Lots of Downy.
Oof. All right, well, listen, tell us about yourself. How did you get started in gun stuff before you got to be an instructor and a tactical kilt wearing dude?
I was working at, I think it was CVS at the time, and my wife, Jen, hi Jen.
Hey, Jen.
Was going through all of her old paperwork, and her FID card was going to expire. She had gotten, because she had gone shooting with a few ex-boyfriends before me.
Oh my.
So she said, oh, hey, you know, I have this gun license. Do you want to go shooting before this expires? And I said, sure, no problem. So went on Groupon, bought the Introduction to Shooting Handguns and Rifles class for MFS. Signed up for it, showed up, and they're like, oh, well, hey, you know, if you don't want to take this class, we have a licensing class that starts at roughly the same time. Mm-hmm. You get to shoot two of the same guns. Okay, fine, whatever. It was $40 more per person. No big deal. Right. But then you can get a license. And I guess the way I always tell the story in classes is during the first break, she looked over at me and said, crap, this is going to get expensive, isn't it? And I said, yeah, it's going to get expensive. So it's awesome. My wife's fault.
It's your wife's fault. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. My first ex-wife, as I like to call her, when I got into shooting, it was one of these things that I didn't grow up hunting or shooting and wasn't into it. But she said that when we were dating, she brought this up, and of course I was like, oh, that's crazy, that's dangerous. Why would you want to do that? So she used to like to remind me it was her idea. Yeah. So I hear you with that, man. I hear you.
It's nice to know I'm in company then.
Absolutely. So she got you into this, and then realized it's an expensive hobby.
Yes, because I signed up for every single class I could take. Taking classes in Florida just because we were down there and I had nothing but time. Just came back from 3 days up at SIG Academy. So yeah, it's definitely become a very expensive hobby.
Gotcha. Now, did you have kids? Is this one of the reasons that you wanted to get a license and get to the point where you started to carry?
No.
No.
Guns came before the children.
Ah, gotcha.
And one of the children, Lily, hi Hannah. Lily is my almost 5-year-old who has taken an interest in it. So I had given her a water gun, and just being the person that I am, I was like, okay, well, here's this water gun, but you gotta have your finger off the trigger, don't point the gun at anybody.
Right.
So gave her the whole spiel, so now anytime I put a water gun or anything that resembles a gun in her hand, you see her think for a second, have her finger off the trigger, and never pointed it at anyone.
That is cool.
The younger one, Hannah, will not get that same treatment because she has my personality, so she's a little bit of a wild one.
Gotcha.
But Lily's very responsible.
Very cool. Very cool. You know, it really is important to teach kids how to be safe with guns, because we know this as gun guys and as gun instructors, we want to teach our kids how to be safe, but it's important to teach our kids how to be safe because our kids might go to someone else's house. And my concern was that my kids were going to go to someone's house and that person, or my kid's friend, might have said, hey, we know your dad's a gun guy, we know where our dad's guns are, and they take them out, and who knows? Yeah.
My daughter's very good with, if she ever sees a gun, she's just going to come get me because I know what to do. So, good for me on that one.
That is good. That is good. Yeah.
But she knows not to touch them. If she does come across one, God forbid she sees one at a school or something, she's just going to sit there and say, all right, I need to get my dad. Everybody stay away. Not bad for only almost 5 years old.
That's great. That is great. Now, let me ask you this. Are you concerned about having gun stuff come up at school for her? Right? Because this is one of these things.
All right, well, I'll give you a good story on that.
Oh, I love it.
Daughter was in nursery school.
Nursery school.
And, you know, conversations come up of, hey, what does your mom do? What does your dad do? Mm-hmm. And I haven't hid anything from her. She knows exactly what I do. Yeah. I leave for work most days and have a gun on my hip. She definitely knows what I have. So I'm standing, getting ready to go get her from nursery school, go pick up, and there's 2 Bellingham police officers standing by the door.
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh, crap. This is not all right. Fun. So I walk up, and I was like, you guys are here for me. And then went, maybe. Who are you here for? Whoa. I was like, I'm Lily's father, and you're here because she said something she shouldn't have said.
Oh, my goodness.
They're like, yeah, she said you have guns. I lifted up my shirt. I was like, yeah, not on me. This is a school. I'm obviously not going to carry a gun in a school. That would be ridiculous. So I talked to them, and they're like, okay, but just so you know, this conversation may come up again. So, I mean, good for them for being on top of that, but yeah.
It's a nothing burger.
Yeah.
It's a nothing burger.
But it was very fun. There's the huff in my breath when I was like, oh, I know exactly what these guys are here for.
You guys are looking for me, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so how long were you a gun guy before you decided to get to the point where you were going to be an instructor?
Probably say 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I took all the classes I could take. Mm-hmm. Cena Goldberg was my original instructor.
Oh, Cena Goldberg.
Teaches at MFS.
Oh, right, Cena. Hey, man.
And then took all of the concealed carry and all those classes with Mac. Mm-hmm. And just really got to the point where I was like, you know what? I actually enjoy this. I was working at CVS and then a couple of banks at the time. So not exactly career-minded. Never went to college. Barely got out of high school. Dyslexia is a fun thing that'll definitely hamper your education. Stay in school.
Stay in school, kids, right.
So then I was just like, I want to try doing this. So I had emailed MFS. They weren't looking for anyone at the time. So I kept emailing them. Went out to Utah to become a Utah instructor.
Cool.
Try to give myself more value.
Nice.
And then, what was it? The Orlando shooting happened. The Pulse nightclub.
Oh, yeah, 2016.
Yep. And then George called me and said, hey, can you teach a class Saturday? And I said, yeah, sure,
yes,
no problem.
Yes, I can.
So, I mean, no interview or anything like that. Just, hey, can you teach a class?
Wow.
Sure. And it's just been that since.
Yeah. So you teach the Utah class?
Utah, Connecticut, Massachusetts, you name it, I can teach it.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Connecticut, you just have to be a notary, so that was easy enough for me.
Yeah, so Connecticut. So this is what I get. This is what's hard to explain to people is on some state is that some states have different requirements to get a license, and Connecticut's one of the classes or one of the states that requires live fire as part of their training.
Oh yeah, 50 rounds.
50 rounds. But here's the scoop. It doesn't say. This is what I get confused about with Connecticut. It doesn't say what the requirement is. It just says it has to have live fire as part of the curriculum for the class.
Correct.
So
it's not like Moon Island where it's a scored target, or Rhode Island, because you know that's a fun one where you actually get scored and graded. Just 50 rounds of live fire.
50 rounds of live fire. That's it.
So pretty much get a box of 50 rounds of 22 LR, give the person an overview and a revolver so it doesn't jam, and just stand there and make sure they're safe.
Wow. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Brookline actually now is part of the Moon Island test, but they allow NRA instructors to administer the Moon Island test. So if you're from Brookline, you can take your test at MFS, and you don't have to go to Moon Island. You can get it graded right then and there.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
But that's the only town that allows that.
So this is what I remember hearing when I was at this shooting school. The Moon Island, the requirements for Moon Island are higher for the civilians than they are for the police officers.
Oh, I would.
Is
100%
this true?
Yeah.
That's...
You have to score at least a 210.
Wow.
And I've had people that didn't break 100 their first couple times.
Yeah.
And obviously they can't get a gun in practice.
Right.
So I would tell them, hey, go to Walmart, get a cap gun, just get any little cap gun revolver just so you can get used to feeling some weight of that trigger.
Right.
And they got better. I mean, I definitely wouldn't give them an unrestricted license, but they ended up passing.
Wow.
I always ask people to come in and tell me if they got their license, if they passed, if they failed.
Right. It's good to know. It's good to keep a pulse on what people have to do and how well they're doing. I can make them get a little bit better.
Exactly.
Cool. How long have you been teaching classes?
Since that Orlando thing. I had done
only for a few. Okay, cool.
I had done a couple of classes privately.
Yeah.
With just, reaching out on social media before I quit that. But yeah, so I made like $1,000 in a year just doing private classes. But that's not exactly going to feed the family.
Yeah, no.
So
not at all. Not at all.
Luckily MFS called me. But always looking for, other opportunities.
Yeah. Very cool.
Anyone I can teach, I feel very happy about.
I'm with you, man. It's a lot of fun. What kind of shooting do you like to do? Competitive shooting, IDPA?
I have never done that because I am far too a competitive person. Even the SIG event I had gone to, it was a SIG chalk where they try to get retailers in.
Yeah.
They pretty much pamper them for 3 days. Mm-hmm. Free hotel, free class. Pretty much the only reason I did it is it was free.
So you got to sign me up for this, man. I got to know about these things.
Yeah, definitely. They do it, I think, 4 or 5 times a year. All you have to do is be an instructor. You're one of those. Yeah. So you're good.
All right. I got to check that out.
But yeah, it was a pretty fun time.
So what kind of stuff did you do in the class? Because SIG's had, they have a bunch of classes up there.
Yeah, they give you a 4-class overview. One was shooting steel targets, which, okay, fine, you can do pretty much anywhere. So I just took the overview for that class. I wasn't going to sign up for that class. They had a 1,000-yard range where you shoot, obviously, a rifle and try to hit a target at 1,000 yards, which I didn't do because I don't have a rifle, and when am I ever going to need to shoot someone 1,000 yards away from me? That doesn't sound too self-defensive. They had low light shooting, which I'm not a gun light guy. I'm more of a spare flashlight just in case you need it type of person. So I was like, I don't want that class. So the class I decided to take was bullets on vehicles, which was shooting at cars, through cars, seeing what goes through what doesn't.
Wow.
Dispel a few myths of, oh, hey, if someone's running from the police, why don't they just shoot out the tires?
Right.
Because tires don't explode. I hit a tire with a 9mm round, and it took 15, 20 minutes for that tire to lose all of its air.
Wow.
And I was told to shoot the tire, just to clarify.
They wanted you to see what it was like.
Yeah, because one of the gentlemen in the class had said, oh, well, why don't police just shoot out the tires? And I'm kind of a smart ass. I go, I don't think that works. And the instructor was like, all right, Chris, shoot the tire. I was like, okay, sure, no problem. So I shot the tire, and sure enough, you hear all the air escaping. Then it starts to slow down because the tire plugs itself.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, tires do not blow out if you shoot them.
All right. good to know this.
Yes.
Good to know this. What about shooting through cars? Car doors?
Depending on the caliber and round, some will go through, but some won't. A lot of modern cars have that, automatic door lock and automatic window, which the motor for those stops a lot of handgun rounds.
Really?
So there were quite a few times where I was shooting at a door and literally the round didn't penetrate the door.
Wow.
Again, I'm a wise ass, so I was like, how the hell is that not possible?
Right.
I'm shooting a handgun round through a door. And then when the guy explained, the mechanics of it's got every internal part and the motor, I was like, makes sense now. Okay.
That makes sense. Gotcha.
Don't get me wrong. 300 blackout, supersonic. Oh, that went through the door. That went through a lot.
That's cool, man. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's definitely a class that I would sign up for again. That was a blast.
Did you get to shoot at car windows?
Oh yeah.
How do the bullets deflect in different ways, right?
Oh, that they do. The windshield, it's definitely a learning curve, but it's possible.
A learning curve.
Yes, because we're all taught rear sight, front sight, middle of the target.
Right.
But if you're going through a windshield, it's pretty much rear sight, front sight, a foot and a half above the target, because it's going to deflect down.
Wow. And it goes through the window?
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
And obviously for out a window, it's opposite, so you have to aim lower. It's
dude, that's cool.
That one hurt. I'm going to be honest with that one.
Yeah? Because
they shut all the car doors, and then you just shot through the windshield in a sealed car. Hearing protection or not, that's loud.
Man.
But
yeah, that sounds pretty loud. Yeah, that would be pretty loud.
But it was a good time. Everyone should go up to City Academy and take those classes. They're fun.
Cool. So this is just a program they have for instructors?
Yeah, it's the SIG chalk event. Literally, they just took the military thing of putting chalk on someone's helmet and adapted it for their own usage. But yeah, any instructor can sign up for that event, and it's a blast.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
And they pay for everything, so free stuff is the best stuff.
Bonus. I like to say I'm tactically frugal.
Oh yeah.
Rather than being a cheap bastard.
Oh no, I'm cheap. 100%.
That's all right, man.
If it's free, it's for me. If it's true, give me two.
That's nice. Cool, man. So, you've done the concealed carry fashion shows for the last couple of years.
Yes.
How did you get roped into that? Why did you decide to wear a tactical kilt?
The first year, it was Mandy Devono. I had reached out to her, asking if they needed anything on behalf of MFS. And she said, oh yeah, sure, anything you can get would be helpful. So I got them to donate a bunch of Concealed Carry 1 gift certificates.
Cool.
And then at the last minute, she said, oh hey, I need another model. Do you mind modeling? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And jokingly, I said, I have a kilt. Do you want me to wear that? And the chipperness in her voice when she's like, oh yes, do that. I was like, oh, I just got myself in trouble, didn't I?
Rich, what did I just do?
So when it came up again this year, I was like, well, I'm just going to assume I'm wearing my kilt again.
It would be safe to assume.
And the person running was like, oh yeah, you're doing that.
Very cool.
But I had planned to rip the kilt off like I did without Gold knowing about it. It was just going to be my own little joke. However, I brought it up during the run-through of the fashion show.
Right.
And there were 20-something people in the room, and they took a vote of, oh, hey, should Chris rip his kilt off? And everybody said yes. And I was like, really? No one's going to, say, hey, no, probably shouldn't do that?
Right.
So, yeah, I got to model underwear for that one, which I normally wouldn't wear wearing a kilt.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Oh, my.
Normally, kilts are worn with just nothing underneath.
Right. Well, there we go.
But I don't think Gold would have appreciated that.
Yeah. You probably could have made a couple of extra bucks and some tips.
I was hoping for that. But I'll be honest, that second one, the night before that, I had checked myself into the ER. Oh, I had a 102-degree temperature. I was not in a good way.
Wow. What was going on?
Virus that was working itself through me.
Oh, man.
So I literally looked at my wife. I was like, I've called out of work the last 2 days. Should I even bother doing this fashion show?
Yeah.
And she looks at me and said, well, you made a commitment, didn't you? I was like, oh, yes, I did.
Yes, dear.
So literally went to the ER, got fluids, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
To keep semi-hydrated. Mm-hmm. And then literally kept to myself that entire event. I didn't talk to anybody. I hope they didn't think I was being, standoffish, but
right. I
just wanted to pretty much be alone at that point in time. But I had promised to rip the kilt off, so I had to do that.
That was pretty cool. What were you wearing underneath it? What were you wearing, and what were you carrying underneath it? I
had on a pair of undercover, I don't even know, underwear holster. I'm not sure exactly what they call it. Gotcha. But Glockstore.com had donated those.
Very cool.
Mainly because I told them what my plan was, and they thought it was funny.
Right.
But I had a SIG 938 in the back of it, I think.
Nice.
I gotta be honest, it's still quite a blur to me. I don't remember a lot about it.
Yeah, I guess being sick would take the fun out of it.
Yes, definitely. I would have been a lot more entertaining if I was healthy.
Could have worked a little bit more. I'm going to have to dig up some of the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
From that, put that in the video. That'll be cool.
I'm all for that.
Very cool, very cool.
I'll have to have my wife share them because, like I said, I took myself off all of social media.
Ah, look at you. Brave soul.
Well, I just found myself looking down at my phone too much, and literally in one of the classes I teach, I make fun of people walking around looking at their phone, and I had caught myself doing it. So, well, I can either say I'm a hypocrite and say I, look down at my phone while walking, or stop doing that. So I stopped doing that. It's much easier.
Cool, man. Good for you.
So
good for you.
Now I don't keep up with people.
It's I will say this, I kind of dig it because it makes me feel like I still have friends, and then when you do hear from them, you can be like, hey, I saw that you just whatever, came back from a trip or a vacay or whatever. So I think it's not so bad.
See, that's where I'm lucky. I don't really have friends, so I got sick of all the fake friends of, we went to high school together 20 years ago. Oh yeah, good. You're gonna wish me a happy birthday. I haven't talked to you in 20 years. I don't care.
Right. Yeah, I hear you on that too.
It definitely has its place, but I'm just not social enough for it.
Gotcha. That's all right. That is quite all right.
As bad as that sounds.
All right, it is that time where I say, if you had to take a new person or an anti-gun person shooting, what would you tell them to convince them that gun folks are regular folks?
Great one for that one. Obviously, carrying a gun, I learned also to be pretty good about first aid. So my daughter had a gymnastics class, and there was a girl probably 4 or 5 years old that came in late to the class, and her mother had accidentally shut the door on the girl's fingers.
Oof.
So kid starts crying. The people that were running the gym hesitated a little bit too much for me. So I just got up, ran, grabbed my kit, started taping the girl's fingers, making sure she was okay, had them get a popsicle for her.
Right.
Well, in the frenzy, my shirt had lifted up, and I was obviously carrying a gun on me because it's what I do.
Yeah.
And one of the mothers looked at me and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you carry a gun." Meanwhile, I had just helped this poor little girl out.
Right. I also carry a first aid kit, ma'am.
I was like, okay, well, why can't you believe that? And she said, "Why do you need a gun?" I was like, "For
here we go.
Personal defense." And she goes, "Well, what could come up?" I was like, "Okay, ma'am, what's the top speed on your car?" She goes, "I think my speedometer goes to 140. Why?" I go, "Speed limit's 65. You shouldn't need to do more than 65.
Right.
And she goes, "Well, what if there's an emergency?" I went, "Exactly."
Right.
And that's literally, you could see a light bulb flash in her head where she was like, "Oh, well, I guess you're right." So literally just emergencies. That's
for an emergency.
What it boiled down to.
Right.
I don't know if that lady went and got her license, but she definitely got off the whole guns are bad thing.
What if there's an emergency?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read something recently that said that when there is, one of the things that people are concerned about is that concealed carry holders are going to shoot someone accidentally. But I don't know who did the study. I'm not sure where I read it, but they said that's never happened. It never shot an innocent bystander.
Well, I'm sure it's happened at some point. I mean, the Boston bombing, there were over 3,000 rounds fired, and I think 2% of those rounds hit their targets. So
this is with the armed civilians, not the police officers.
So people are gonna miss no matter what, especially, I mean, there's tons of people who go to the range and lay their stuff on the table and slowly breathe, take their shots. Okay, good. You're a target shooter.
Right.
Unless you're gonna actually train like you're going to have to, you're not helping yourself. So when I go to the range, I'll be a jerk. I'll run, I'll do jumping jacks, I'll do something to get my heart rate going. And then I'll shoot my first round usually right from the hip, right out of my holster, because in a real world scenario, you're not going to use sights.
Right.
Second round, same thing, not using sights. Third round, okay, fine, maybe now I'm using sights.
Right.
And then fourth through, well, Massachusetts, so 10.
4 through 10, unless you have a pre-ban.
Are obviously, you know, using sights. But a lot of people don't train that way, and it's pretty much just a disservice to themselves, because God forbid anything happen, they're going to rely on, okay, I have to have my arms all the way out and
all the way extended,
close an eye and
turn blade my body sideways.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen that way. So yeah, that's pretty wild. It's pretty cool to train that way. There are some places that that won't let you draw from the holster unless you're, like, I belong to a club that you can draw from the holster outside, but you can't from if you're on the inside range. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I mean, the place I work doesn't really care too much as long as you're being safe about it.
Right.
I mean, I've seen people reholstering with their fingers still in the trigger well, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you can't draw from the holster anymore. Right. Because you're just going to hurt yourself or somebody else, and I don't want to be here for that. But if you've, you know, taken a couple of classes, especially with myself, and I have trust and faith in you, then sure, as long as you're not, you know, getting out of your bay or shooting across lanes, do whatever you want.
Right. Is there a holster draw class? Is that something you go through one of the? I know there's a number of concealed carry courses, and I assume at some point drawing from the holster comes up in one of those. Yeah, it's concealed carry 2, I believe, is drawing from the holster and then taking like a step left or right. But you could also do that with private range time. I've had plenty of people come in and just say, hey, I want to work on, you know, real world scenarios. Yeah. Okay, fine. Let's do that. And if the range is available, do I go this way? Yes. All right. I'll have them go down range and, you know, actually act like they have to shoot someone instead of just, you know, slowly breathing. No, just I'll semi-stress you out. Just say, okay, now draw, and see how quickly they can move their concealment garment and put shots on paper. And people will be disheartened. Oh, everything's not a bullseye. It's not going to be a bullseye. That's all right. Right. If you're shooting bullseyes under stress, you have a lot of training. Right. You've got, or you get a lot of time. Yes. Maybe too much. A little bit of both. Right. Yeah. I think it's kind of cool. I've seen some people say that if you're defensively shooting or practicing to shoot defensively, if the shots are too far apart, you're moving too fast. If they're too close together, you're moving too slow. Yes. So they got to be what, like the size of size of your hand or a card? Pretty much a volleyball. A volleyball. If you look at the center of a target, just imagine something the size of a volleyball, because at that point you're still hitting major organs. Flesh, right. So sure, if it's all the way to the right, maybe you're just going to hit skin and muscle. Right. But anything in the middle, you have large intestine, small intestine, stomach, lungs. You're going to hit something that will slow your attacker down. Gotcha. It's not like Halloween where someone's going to take 6 shots to the chest and get up like Michael Myers. Sorry, I just had the last week off, so it was pretty much movie time for me. Movie time. Asleep. That's all right, man. That is all right. I have not seen any of the Halloween movies in a long time. They're intriguing, but they don't follow a pattern. I do think it's interesting that Jamie Lee Curtis is an anti-gun folk, yet she uses a gun in the movie, doesn't she?
Yes.
I remember when it came out, reading some stories about that.
What's the other one? I guess Matt Damon is anti-gun, but he's Jason Bourne.
Right, but he's totally for using guns in movies.
It's really easy to be anti-gun when you can hire security.
Right.
But when you actually need it, you probably want a gun on you. I would much rather have it on me and never need to use it.
Oh, absolutely.
Than be in a situation where I was like, oh, I really wish I had my gun on me now.
It would be awful nice.
Yeah. But even in that situation, I have pepper spray or something else. Because I'll be honest, my gun's going to be the last thing I go for because I know the ramifications.
Oh my gosh.
I know I'm going to have a lawsuit. I know that, that person themselves or their family is going to sue me. So I would much rather pepper spray you, watch you cry for an hour and a half, and then just
pepper spray you again?
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's the worst.
I always tell people when I teach classes, I say, God forbid you ever have to use your gun. You're going to get arrested. You're going to jail. They're going to confiscate your gun. They're going to take your gun license, and you're going to buy an attorney a new house.
Yeah.
Just to prove that you were justified in using your firearm.
Yeah, I did a lot of research, and someone even just unholstering their firearm, it's going to be between $10,000 and $40,000 in legal fees.
Wow.
I would much rather pepper spray you.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I would much rather be tased than pepper sprayed because pepper spray hurts. That's why pepper spray is the first thing I go for.
Have you been pepper sprayed?
Oh, numerous times.
Really? Where?
Down in Florida. I took a class to become a pepper spray instructor.
Gotcha. Through SABRE?
Yeah.
I did that too, but I didn't have to get pepper sprayed.
Oh, they pepper sprayed me.
Wow. I thought of auctioning off the opportunity to pepper spray me just to see how much money it could bring in.
Oh, that. You would want at least 3 figures for that because it hurts so bad.
Yeah, I thought of auctioning off the opportunity to pepper spray Charlie, or auctioning off to my enemies. Not that I have enemies.
Possibly, I might look into that. I'm sure there'd be a long list.
Right. I'm raising money for a charity. I'm going to get pepper spray. I'd like to do it just to cross it off the list of, okay, it's been done. I've got video to prove it. I'm good.
Well, then get Johnson's No More Tears baby shampoo because you're going to want that.
Oh, man. See, this is good to know. Yes. This is good to know.
In fact, the class I took down in Florida, I had taken Mac's pepper spray class up here first.
Yeah.
Which is where I got that Johnson's No More Tears trick. So it was me and like 10 or 11 other guys. They pepper sprayed all of us, and everybody immediately put their hands in their eyes, and I was like, okay, I know this sucks. I don't want to touch my eyes.
Right.
I just want this guy to say, okay, we can go clean up. And so I'm just sitting there biting my lip like, oh, this is the worst. I hate this. This is the worst thing ever. And I'm looking around through my blurry vision, and everyone's touching their eyes. So I was like, I know that's a bad thing to do. So sure enough, they're like, okay, guys, go ahead. Go shower up. I had my No More Tears shampoo. So I put that on my face, washed my hair, rinsed it back first. And then I looked and I saw the instructor just like half looking at us all weird. I was like, what's wrong with you? And he goes, why are you washing your hair that way? I was like, because I know if I wash it down, I'm going for that ride again. I'm not doing that.
Right.
And he goes, everyone else just did that. I was like, oh, well, that's their fault.
They're the ones that are the idiots.
So, yeah, I got out of that class, I think it was 2 hours early because I was back to normal. So,
gotcha.
Yay, pepper spray class.
Yay. Have you been tased?
Yes.
How is that?
Not as bad.
Really? It's like over though, right?
Yeah, it's quick. You're tased, your muscles lock out, but then you're fine. So that one, I have a stun gun that if I'm going to a place where I can't carry a gun,
right,
I'll bring that. But the only way I'm using that is if someone gets me from behind and puts me in a chokehold, because on that situation, my life's not in danger, so I can't use a gun.
Right.
And I don't want to pepper spray you because my face is right there too.
Right.
So don't want to do that. So on that one, yeah, sure, I'm just going to use a stun gun just to create some separation.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to pepper spray you.
That's
but,
awesome.
Yeah, I took an online class to become an instructor for that. And
Gotcha.
the guy just kept repeating, like, you should know what it feels like. You should know what it feels like. So I was like, okay.
Is he a masochist? Does he like doing that?
So I took my taser out and I was like, okay, this is going to suck. This is going to suck. Tased my leg locked out, and I was like, okay, that's done. I'm not in pain anymore, so.
Right. That's nuts.
So been pepper sprayed and tased, and I would much rather be tased.
Much rather be tased than pepper sprayed.
I don't want to get pepper sprayed.
Wow.
Ever again. Which is why that's the first thing I reach for, because I know that's going to cause the most pain to whoever it is that's attacking me. Or my family, I guess I should say.
Of course.
Which with 2 young daughters, yeah, there's pepper spray.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. I think it's good that we no longer have to have government permission in order to carry pepper spray here in Massachusetts.
As long as you're 18 and not a convicted felon.
Right.
But if you're 15, you get your FID
card, which, my kids both got their FID cards when they turned 15. And my daughter doesn't carry pepper spray. She's still, whatever, she's not there where she thinks about that sort of thing yet. So that's okay. That's all right.
Bad thing about that is you're not there until you think that way until it's too late.
Usually it's too late. I just saw a video yesterday of a woman, and I'll never be able to find it and put it on the link here, but I saw a video yesterday of a woman that was bullying some cheerleader girl. And the cheerleader's like, listen, I don't want to get into a fight. And the other woman was bigger than her. And she's like, we're not looking for a fight. Just leave us alone. No one's talking to you. Blah, blah, blah. Just, teenage girl stuff. And then the bully girl just cold cocked the cheerleader. And the cheerleader just got up and just way later. She's peppering her with punches and flipped her over and beat her when she was on the ground. And then the girl got up and just kind of got it together and walked away.
Oh, she was lucky she did that.
Right, and I see this and I'm like, oh my God, this is how girls are. This is how girls are.
I would probably not be able to take punches like that. I'll be honest on that one.
Yeah. I don't want to have to get into a fight.
A couple decades ago, I was actually a professional wrestler and amassed quite a few concussions.
What?
So, yeah.
Well, how come this didn't come up earlier? Professional wrestler. All right, give us a quick story about professional wrestling, because we are almost where we need to be.
I used to live in Boston, and Killer Kowalski had a school in Boston. So I literally would just drive into that school and watch people practice.
Yeah.
So one day, it was like 4 months after going there, he looked at me, he's like, you, get in here. I was like, okay, sure, no problem. What am I doing? And he goes, do this move. I was like, okay, fine. Just got thrown around. And then he's like, okay, well, that's good. What's your name again? I was like, I'm not a student here. He goes, what?
Oh my God.
He's like, yeah, no waiver, no nothing. He's like, why have you been here almost every day? I was like, I'm interested and just wanted to see. So I got a free education out of that one.
Free education.
Yeah.
From Killer Kowalski.
Yes. That guy was me.
Wow. All right, well, listen, let's wrap things up here. This is easy. You don't have any social media, so there's nothing to plug.
Nope, no social media.
Very cool. How about that? So that makes it easy when I have to do the credits later.
Yep.
All right, so listen, Chris, thank you so much for being on the show. This is a pleasure. Thanks for being on. Everybody else, please like and share and subscribe to all the Riding Shotgun with Charlie stuff. It is on YouTube. Riding Shotgun is on iTunes. It's on Spotify. It's on iHeartRadio. You also need to check out this Self-Defense Radio Network. The website is sdrn.us. That is all of your pro-freedom podcasts in one place. And we will see you guys next time on Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Thanks, man.
All right. See you guys later. All right.
Cool, man.
Have a great one.
Easy peasy.